Leo leaned against the doorframe. His arms were crossed over his chest. A woman stood before him. Her makeup was flawless. She wore a tasteful dress and high heels. Her designer bag looked expensive. Her eyes widened with disbelief. She realized he was a man. Leo found the situation amusing. Julian had not mentioned everything about himself. Leo glanced down at his own body. He then raised an eyebrow at her. His look conveyed a silent question. He knew who this woman was. People always told him about Julian's companions. This was Serena. Julian had pursued her for a long time. He had spent a fortune on her. Many thought Julian was finally serious. He had stopped seeing anyone else. That included Leo. The reality was too shocking for Serena. Her mouth opened but no words came out. She turned and walked away quickly. Leo shrugged and closed the door. His phone began to ring inside. He picked it up from the table. The screen showed Julian's name. Leo thought the timing was perfect. He answered the call. Julian's low voice came through the phone. He questioned the delay in answering. Leo explained the phone was in another room. He said he did not hear it ring. Julian asked if he was home. Leo gave a simple, emotionless confirmation. Julian stated he would be downstairs soon. He was taking Leo to dinner. The call ended before Leo could reply. They had been together for over 5 years. Leo had lasted the longest. No one took him seriously at first, but he was still there after a year. Curious people started showing up. They wanted to see the man by Julian's side. Some even claimed they would replace him. In the early years, Julian stayed often. He left marks that never faded. New ones appeared before old ones healed. Then Julian's visits became less frequent. They changed from 5 times a week to once. This last gap was the longest. It had been nearly 6 months. Leo wondered if this call was about Serena. He went downstairs at the right time. A black sedan pulled up smoothly. He opened the back door and got in. A man in a suit sat inside. Julian was resting against the seat. He opened his eyes at the sound. His gaze swept over Leo's casual attire. A frown creased his brow. He asked about Leo's choice of clothes. Leo looked down at himself. He wore a gray hoodie and jeans. He asked what was wrong with his outfit. Julian looked away without a word. He closed his eyes again. Leo saw the exhaustion on his face. He gathered the scattered files beside Julian. Then he leaned back and watched the city lights. Silence filled the car. Leo understood Julian's concern at the restaurant. It was an upscale place with a strict dress code. One meal cost more than a month's salary. They entered a private dining room. Julian took off his suit jacket. He reminded Leo of a past comment, a fleeting mention of wanting steak. Leo's memory was hazy. He thought he had said that 6 months ago. He had completely forgotten about it. Leo looked at Julian with a blank expression. Julian noticed his silence. He raised an eyebrow, questioning his memory. Leo simply said no, he remembered. He then offered a quiet thank you. Julian nodded in acceptance. He slid the menu across the table. He told Leo to order what he wanted. Leo browsed the complicated menu. The names of the dishes were confusing. He ended up choosing the most expensive items. Julian stepped out to take a call. He returned in less than 15 minutes. His face was dark. An aura of irritation surrounded him. Leo knew something was wrong. Julian's voice was tight. He asked if Serena had stopped by. Leo feigned ignorance for a moment. Julian's expression grew colder. He asked if Leo truly did not know her name. Leo then pretended to remember. He confirmed it was the woman from that morning. Julian asked what she had said. Leo recalled the brief encounter. He explained she said nothing and just left. Julian looked displeased. He pressed for more details. Leo insisted that was all that happened. Julian stared at him for a long moment. He told Leo not to worry about it. He promised he would handle the situation. Leo did not understand what he meant. Julian remained silent until the food arrived. Leo ate his meal quietly. He did not want to disturb Julian's mood. After dinner, Julian stood up. He grabbed his jacket and left without a word. Leo had no choice but to follow him. He couldn't understand Julian's anger. This was not the first time this happened. 2 years ago, a man had visited. The man wore glasses and looked like a banker. He spoke politely and left quickly. But Leo had been angry back then. He had thrown a huge tantrum at Julian. Eventually, he learned not to care. Then, the visitors stopped coming. Leo did not know why Julian was so upset now. It was not his fault Serena showed up. He felt the anger was misplaced. Julian was taking Serena's call out on him. Felt deeply unfair. In the parking garage, Leo did not get in the car. He told Julian to handle his business. He said he could get home by himself. The man in the car just stared at him. Leo sighed and got into the car. Julian's mood suddenly softened. He asked about Leo's job. He pulled Leo closer by the waist. He asked if anyone was bullying him at work. Leo told him to stop being so paranoid. His work was too busy for office drama. Julian kissed his hair and neck softly. He murmured against his skin. The job was stressful and paid little. He suggested that Leo should just quit. They had this argument many times before. Leo did not want to fight. He turned and kissed Julian's lips. He silenced the words he knew were coming. The car stopped at Leo's apartment building. Julian helped him fix his clothes. He kissed his eyes gently. Julian did not go upstairs with him. He watched Leo enter the elevator. Then he told the driver to leave. Inside, Leo showered away the night. His body ached from the long absence. He felt tired and emotionally drained. He tried to clear his head under the water. This sudden meeting left him unsettled. Negative feelings now washed over him. He got out of the shower late at night. Leo lay in bed and checked his phone. Dozens of messages were in the group chat. His friend Ryan was planning a weekend trip. They were going to a rustic lodge upstate. Someone had asked if Leo was going. He thought about his empty weekend schedule. He typed "I'm in" and sent the message. Another message appeared right after. Julian's profile picture was also a chipmunk. He wrote that he was going too. The group chat exploded with replies. Ryan complained about Julian's long absence. He joked about kicking him from the group. Julian's lazy voice replied via audio message. He claimed he had been busy. His friends knew what busy meant. Ryan sent a rude emoji in response. Marcus also scolded him for his absence. He demanded Julian pay for the entire trip. Julian sent back a cute okay sticker. Leo stopped reading the chat. He noted the time and location. Then he turned off his phone. He pulled the covers over his head. He buried himself in the darkness. Leo's internal clock woke him at 7. He got ready and drove to the office. Julian had given him the car a year ago. It was a replacement for a flashy sports car. Leo had refused to drive the first one. He took the bus to work every day. The sports car collected dust in the garage. Finally, Julian gave in and bought this one. After the morning meeting, Leo sat down. He opened his laptop to start his day. Chloe, his coworker, approached him. She asked about the company dinner that night. Leo replied that he was not going. She warned him about being antisocial. She said their coworkers might get ideas. They had started at the company together. Their bond was closer than with others. Leo explained his view on work-life balance. After 8 hours, he needed to disconnect. Company dinners felt like overtime to him. Chloe rolled her eyes at his speech. She knew she could not change his mind. Leo handed her a revised proposal. She took the file and stood up. Then she noticed a red mark on his neck. She asked if a mosquito bit him. Leo touched his neck self-consciously. He mumbled it was probably an insect bite. Chloe offered him some ointment. Leo declined, saying it would fade. She nodded and left for the manager's office. A moment later, Leo thought about it. He found a Band-Aid in his desk drawer. He stuck it over the mark on his neck. At quitting time, Leo was still at his desk. The office was empty and quiet. Everyone else had left for the dinner. Only his desk lamp was still on. He finished preparing for the next day. The sky was completely dark when he left. At home, he made a simple dinner. He was usually a messy cook, but Julian's neatness had rubbed off on him. Julian had forced him to clean as he cooked. The habit had stuck over the years. He did not sleep well that night. He dreamed of Julian repeatedly. One dream was of their first meeting. Another was of Julian with Serena. He woke with dark circles under his eyes. An entire week passed without contact. Leo drove himself to the lodge upstate. He arrived around noon. About 8 people were there. They were all Julian's oldest friends. They gathered like this almost every month. Leo had joined these gatherings for years. Sometimes he came even when Julian could not. Ryan saw him get out of his car. He waved Leo over. Leo was the youngest of the group. The others were around 35. Ryan, at 29, was the second youngest. He was proud of this fact. Ryan asked if he had eaten breakfast. Leo admitted he had not. He looked around at the scenery. The lodge was on a mountainside. The air smelled fresh and earthy. A cool autumn breeze blew gently. Ryan handed him a basket. Inside were freshly made pancakes. They were still warm. Leo took one and ate it quickly. He asked where the others were. Ryan pointed towards the main building. He said they were drinking tea like old men. Leo smiled and said he would say hello. Ryan put an arm around him. They walked towards the patio together. 5 men sat around a table. Marcus was pouring tea. He pointed to empty chairs for them. Ryan complained about their elderly habits. He grabbed a pancake and nibbled on it. Marcus teased him about turning 30 soon. He handed a cup of tea to Leo. He asked if Julian came with him. Leo took the cup and said no. He expected Julian to arrive on his own. David asked if Julian would bring his new flame. Another friend said the romance was intense. He wondered what she looked like. David said he met her at a business dinner. He confirmed she was very beautiful. He thought Julian might bring her today. Marcus shook his head while sipping tea. He said Julian always gave notice for guests. He never brought outsiders to private gatherings. Someone pointed out that Leo was an outsider. Ryan defended him immediately. He said Leo was different. He asked who else Julian had ever brought. Leo listened calmly, sipping his tea. He was used to these conversations. The sound of a car approached. A moment later, Julian walked in alone. He seemed surprised to see them all staring. Marcus smirked at David. He had been right. Julian asked what they were talking about. He sat down next to Leo. He tossed his car keys on the table. Ryan teased him for being the last to arrive. Julian explained his father had summoned him. It had delayed his departure. Marcus poured him a cup of tea. He asked why his father wanted to see him. Julian said it was just for breakfast. He clearly did not want to discuss it. He turned to Leo. He asked if Leo drove himself. Leo nodded. Julian said his driver missed him. He apologized for not telling him sooner. Leo said they probably just missed each other. He brushed Julian's hand from his hair. He complained that Julian was messing it up. Julian just smiled at him. He said Leo looked like a college student. He suggested a new haircut for him. Marcus chimed in. He said Leo had just graduated last year. He joked that Leo lowered their average age. Ryan raised his hand proudly. He declared that without them they were old. The others just laughed at him. Lunch was hearty lodge-style food. Large platters of meat filled the table. Leo and Ryan ate with enthusiasm. The others picked at their food with wine. They were all careful about their figures. Julian also had little appetite. He put down his chopsticks after a few bites. Leo ate until he was completely full. After the meal, the others went fishing. Leo returned to his room to rest. When Julian came back, Leo was asleep. He was buried under the thick comforter. Julian pulled the blanket down gently. Leo's face was scrunched in discomfort. Julian patted his shoulder to wake him. Leo woke up slowly, still disoriented. Julian felt his forehead. He asked in a low voice if he was unwell. Leo mumbled into his pillow. His stomach hurt. He often had stomach problems. Irregular meals were the main cause. Eating too much at once triggered the pain. Julian sat on the bed beside him. He put one hand on Leo's stomach. He began to rub it gently. He said he would get some medicine later. Leo complained that his hand was cold. He pushed it away weakly. Julian rubbed his hands together. He waited until they were warm. Then he placed his hand back on Leo's stomach. Leo was always grumpy when he felt sick. Julian often said he was like a child, but he always indulged him. After a while, Leo was fully awake. He ordered Julian around. He asked for water, then for juice. He wanted the window open, then closed. When Julian brought medicine, he refused it. Leo insisted he would be fine after resting. He hid under the covers. Julian told him to stop being difficult. He said the pain would not go away. Leo clutched the blanket tightly. Julian pulled him into his arms. He coaxed him softly. He promised the medicine would help quickly. Leo kept his mouth shut. He hated taking pills. Julian had to force him. He held his jaw and popped the pill in. He held his mouth shut until he swallowed. Leo coughed and drank some water. Julian kissed his teary eyes. He tucked him back into bed. Then he lay down beside him. Leo turned his back to him, still sulking. That evening, Leo felt much better. Julian took him downstairs for dinner. A barbecue was set up in the yard. Julian only gave him grilled vegetables. He had the kitchen make soup for him. Leo was still angry about the afternoon. He did not speak to Julian. Ryan brought him a bowl of soup. He pointed to Julian and Marcus. They were talking with serious expressions. Ryan whispered that Marcus had told him something. Julian was having some family issues. Leo was not very interested. He asked what kind of issues. Ryan said it was a family matter. He was surprised Leo did not know. Leo just chewed on his vegetables. Ryan commented on their long separation. He mentioned seeing Julian with a woman. He remembered her name was Serena. She was a recent returnee from overseas. Leo confirmed he had met her once. Ryan leaned in closer. He whispered that they had broken up. This news surprised Leo. He asked when it happened. Ryan said it was just a few days ago. The news was not widely known yet. He shrugged, saying people thought Julian was settled. But he got bored after a short time. Leo looked at Julian's profile. He did not say anything. Ryan advised him to be mindful of Julian's family. He patted Leo's shoulder and walked away. Leo had never met Julian's family. He assumed they knew about him, but they had never made contact. He could guess what Ryan was hinting at. A voice spoke beside him. Julian had sat down next to him. He asked why Leo was spacing out. Leo put down his food. He wiped his hands carefully. Then he turned to face Julian. Julian raised an eyebrow at him. He asked if Leo was still angry. Leo's face showed no emotion. He asked if Julian was getting married. Julian sat up straight. His brow furrowed. He asked who told him that. So it was true, Leo thought. No wonder he had dumped Serena. Julian looked at his profile. He said it was just being discussed. Nothing was confirmed yet. Leo nodded silently. He knew Julian too well. He knew what marriage meant to him. Julian believed in absolute marital fidelity. It was a strange, rigid conviction. A man like him held such a strong belief. Once he decided to marry, he would be loyal. He would be faithful only to his spouse. This was a principle from his youth. Serena was the previous candidate. Leo guessed he was the next loose end. The next day, Leo did not go hiking. He stayed in his room on his phone. Julian also stayed behind to work. His phone started ringing. Leo saw Serena's name on the screen. Julian had no intention of answering. The phone kept ringing insistently. Leo finally got up and turned it off. Julian did not react at all. He remained focused on his documents. In the afternoon, the group packed to leave. Julian had Leo's car driven back. He drove Leo home himself. At the apartment, Leo drew a bath for him. Then he went to the kitchen for milk. Julian's phone rang again after his shower. Leo saw the caller was Julian's father. He knocked on the bathroom door. He announced the call for Mr. Yeah. Julian's voice told him to bring it in. Leo handed him the phone. Julian grabbed his wrist, stopping him. He answered the call with one hand. Leo could not pull away. He stood there listening to the call. Julian spoke to his father. He said they had already talked. He told his father to wait. He asked why he was in such a hurry. He promised to come home for dinner soon. After hanging up, Julian still held his wrist. His arm muscles were tense and defined. Leo looked away from him. Julian smiled and pulled him down. He suggested they shower together. It was dark when they emerged from the bathroom. Julian carried a weary Leo to bed. Leo fell asleep almost instantly. When he woke up, the apartment was empty. Hunger had woken him. The fridge was empty. He got dressed and went out for food. He walked to a nearby night market. The smell of barbecue was too greasy. He found a small ramen shop instead. He ordered a simple bowl of noodles. At the counter, a young man was arguing. He wore a sweatsuit and held a basketball. He insisted he had forgotten his wallet. He offered his limited-ion basketball as collateral. Leo saw the owner hesitating. He stepped forward and offered to pay. The young man's face lit up. He thanked Leo profusely. Outside, he insisted on paying Leo back. He said his home was just 2 blocks away. Leo told him it was not necessary. The young man insisted on getting his number. Leo gave him his contact to end the conversation. At home, he received a friend request. The profile picture was a basketball. The name was Ethan. He accepted the request. A message came through immediately. Ethan thanked him again and sent him money. He also invited him to dinner sometime. Leo accepted the money and replied briefly. The next day at work, Chloe was excited. She told him a new batch of interns had arrived. Leo did not share her enthusiasm. Chloe explained that they were no longer the newbies. They could now delegate menial tasks. She had seen the new interns. She said some of them were very handsome. Leo told her to get back to work. In the afternoon, the interns came to say hello. Leo was surprised to see Ethan. Ethan waved at him excitedly. He whispered about what a coincidence it was. The manager overheard them. He assigned Ethan to be Leo's intern. Ethan happily agreed. Leo looked at the tall, energetic young man. He reminded him of a happy puppy. Chloe was assigned a quiet girl, but she was still thrilled to be a mentor. She whispered to Leo about Ethan. She said he was the handsome one she saw. Leo gently pushed her away. He told her they had only met once. They were not very familiar with each other. Ethan soon returned with a stack of manuals. He sat at the empty desk next to Leo. He was very excited about the arrangement. He said having a familiar face was comforting. Leo felt a bit overwhelmed by his energy. He explained the basics of the job to Ethan. Ethan listened intently and learned quickly. Leo felt relieved by his competence. After work, Ethan insisted on buying dinner. Leo could not refuse and went with him. Ethan took him to a grilled fish restaurant. He said it was one of his favorite places. During the meal, Leo asked about his first day. Ethan admitted it was a whirlwind. Leo reassured him that was normal. Takes time to adjust to a new job. Ethan's eyes lit up with an idea. He asked if he should call Leo Master. Leo quickly shut down that suggestion. He said they were close in age. Calling him by his name was fine. Ethan looked a little disappointed. He settled on calling him Leo. After a week, Ethan made a small mistake. It was not serious for an intern. But another intern amplified the issue. Leo argued with the manager all afternoon. In the end, Ethan was not punished. After that, Ethan became even more attached. He was always by Leo's side at work. He ate lunch with him every day. He often invited him to dinner after work. Leo tried to keep his distance. He started refusing all non-work interactions. One day, they were out for a meeting. Leo saw Julian's car drive past them. He did not know if Julian saw him. That evening, Julian was waiting in his living room. He had come from a meeting with his parents. They had presented him with a binder. It was full of suitable marriage candidates. Julian had told them not to rush. His father had become angry. He yelled that Julian was getting old. The family had been pushing for marriage. Julian had dodged it for years. This year, his father gave an ultimatum. He had to be engaged by the end of the year. Julian did not oppose the idea of an arranged marriage. He knew it was his duty. His mother gently suggested he meet the girls. She said he might find someone he liked. His father said he could choose one to marry. After that, he could do as he pleased. He could even bring that boy home for dinner. That was the biggest concession he would make. He did not understand Julian's view on marriage. It was shaped by his own failed one. Julian's father had always been unfaithful. His childhood was filled with his mother's tears. Sometimes she would hit him in her despair. He looked too much like his father. When Julian got older, he urged her to leave. But she loved her husband too much. She was trapped in a hell of her own making. Julian left home as soon as he could. He had seen what infidelity did to a family. He did not want his own marriage to be a wreck. His father told him the board was also pushing. He said Julian had to marry regardless. Julian had left without looking at the binder. Leo was not surprised to see him. He went to his room to change. Julian followed him inside. He asked who Leo was with that day. He watched Leo change his shirt. Leo replied it was a colleague. He calmly asked if Julian wanted to stay. Julian paused, his expression unreadable. The dim light hid his features. Leo reached out and touched his face. The man was still incredibly handsome. Julian took his hand. He said they needed to talk. Leo nodded and went to the kitchen. He prepared a simple dinner. They sat at the table in silence. Julian watched Leo eat. He did not know how to start. He knew this conversation would be difficult. When Leo finished, Julian finally spoke. He said he had visited his family home. Leo nodded for him to continue. Julian stated he would be engaged this year. Leo was not surprised. He smiled and offered his congratulations. Julian's frustration was palpable. He asked if Leo had nothing else to say. Leo asked what he wanted to hear. Julian just stared at him. He did not know what he wanted to hear. Leo pointed to a photo on the wall. He asked if Julian remembered it. The picture showed a younger, grinning Leo. Julian said he took it the day they met. Leo sighed. Time passed so quickly. It had been more than 5 years. Julian recalled that day vividly. Leo wore a chipmunk hat and backpack. He looked like a young girl at first glance. Leo corrected him with a small smile. It was a Dale hat and a Shelley May bag. He teased Julian for being a fake fan. The memory seemed to relax Julian. He said Leo was just a kid then. Leo argued he was legally an adult at 18. Julian insisted he was still a child. He added that Leo had not changed much. He still looked very young. Leo laughed at that. He said Julian always liked them younger. Julian denied being that much of a predator. Leo just winked at him. Julian thought about the early years. Leo used to be so affectionate. He would call him brother constantly. When he was upset, he would call him uncle. He was bossy and demanding. He would yell Julian's full name. Leo had been so vibrant then. He did not know when that changed. Now only sickness brought out his old fire. Leo got up and poured 2 glasses of wine. Julian took the glass offered to him. Leo sipped his wine. He asked about the girl. Julian said it was not decided yet. His family would choose someone suitable. Leo said sincerely that they would choose well. Julian changed the subject. He said Leo's personality had changed a lot. He seemed more like an adult now. Leo replied that he was an adult. He added that people change. Julian offered his future help. He said he could assist with his career. Leo quickly cut him off. He said he was happy with his current job. Julian did not push. He said it was compensation for their time. Leo raised his glass. He drank the wine in one gulp. He wished Julian a smooth engagement. Julian watched him and then drank his own wine. Leo did not remember when Julian left. He was drunk and fell asleep immediately. He dreamed of their first meeting again. It was the summer after his exams. He went to the city for a street carnival. The heat was intense, but the park was crowded. He stood in line for a photo with a mascot. He was sweating, but his eyes were bright. He felt at home among other fans. No one judged his love for cute things. Julian's presence, there was a mistake. He was on a business trip. He met a young intern at his branch office. The boy was cute and Julian was intrigued. After a night together, the boy was clingy. He wanted Julian to spend a day with him. He took Julian to the crowded carnival. Julian's patience wore thin quickly. He made an excuse about work and left. He decided to avoid young lovers. As he walked away, he bumped into someone. A boy covered in merchandise fell down. His box of popcorn spilled everywhere. The boy seemed more worried about his toys. Then he saw the spilled popcorn and looked sad. Julian pulled out some cash. He offered it to him for the popcorn. The boy looked up at him. He saw Julian's handsome face and was flustered. He said it was fine. Julian's interest was piqued again. The boy had bright, innocent eyes. He wore a chipmunk hat. His backpack was covered in keychains. He was adorable. So much for avoiding young lovers. Leo, the boy, knelt to clean the mess. Julian helped him. He asked if Leo came alone. Leo said yes, then asked if Julian was too. Julian lied smoothly, saying he was. Leo found his business suit odd for a carnival. Julian claimed he came straight from work. Leo called him a true fan for his dedication. Julian played along, claiming to be one. Leo showed him a picture with the mascot. Julian glanced at the photo. He immediately claimed chipmunks were his favorite. Leo was delighted by the coincidence. He gave Julian a small keychain as a gift. Julian accepted the two smiling chipmunks. He promised to take good care of them. They spent the rest of the day together. Leo was energetic and full of life. Julian followed him around, surprisingly content. That night, they watched the fireworks. The crowd was too thick to see the main stage. Julian led him to a quiet spot behind it. They stood by a railing, listening to the music. Julian held his hand. Leo felt his face flush. His heart was beating fast. When the fireworks started, Leo watched in awe. Julian just watched Leo's illuminated face. Leo caught him looking. He asked why he was not watching the show. Julian just smiled at him. A new burst of light lit up his face. Leo stared at him, mesmerized. He blurted out that Julian was beautiful. Julian truly smiled then. He said Leo was beautiful too. Leo knew he was completely smitten. He had fallen for a handsome stranger. Leo woke from the dream and stared at the ceiling. He wondered how they got to this point. Julian had not rushed him to bed then. He wooed him for weeks. They were inseparable until college started. Then Julian surprised him at his university. He said his job was in the same city. Leo was overjoyed. They were like a real couple. Then came the night he went to Julian's apartment. Julian told him they were not boyfriends. This was just a game for him. Leo was heartbroken. He punched Julian and ran back to school. He cried for weeks. He realized he was obsessed with Julian. He thought sleeping with him would cure it. So he went to Julian's office. He boldly demanded they sleep together. Julian, who missed him, readily agreed. One time led to another. Leo realized he was in love. He thought Julian's affection was special. He thought maybe Julian loved him too. But he was just another lover. One who lasted a bit longer. The realization was crushing. He cried until he had no more tears. After that, he accepted Julian's gifts. He lived in the apartment Julian provided. But he never asked about love again. They were two parallel lines that had crossed. It was a mistake. Distance was the only safe option. Now the final farewell had come. Leo was on a business trip with Ethan. They had meetings from dawn until dusk. Even energetic Ethan was exhausted. Back at the hotel, he collapsed on the bed. Leo told him to shower before sleeping. Ethan complained about the long days. Leo promised the next day was their last. They had a free afternoon before their flight. Ethan's energy returned instantly. He suggested they go to the theme park. Leo said there was not enough time. Ethan deflated like a balloon. Seeing his disappointment, Leo made a new offer. He knew a great Japanese restaurant. The next day, they went to the restaurant. After dinner, Ethan wanted to go to a bar. Leo found a popular spot online. Ethan was not a good drinker. Leo ordered him a non-alcoholic cocktail. Ethan was excited, looking all around. After a few sips, he felt dizzy. Leo was confused by his reaction. The bartender explained the placebo effect. Some people can get drunk on anything. Leo burst out laughing. Ethan was embarrassed by his mistake. Leo could not stop laughing at him. Ethan stubbornly ordered a real drink. He was determined to get drunk for real. His declaration made Leo laugh even harder. They were having a good time. As they were leaving, Ethan bumped into a man. He apologized, but the man was aggressive. He was drunk and looking for a fight. He pushed Ethan, demanding a better apology. Ethan's mood soured. The man poked his head. He told Ethan to kneel and apologize. Ethan suddenly smiled. Before the man could say more, he cried out. Ethan had twisted his arm behind his back. He asked who was supposed to kneel. The man screamed in pain. Ethan applied more pressure. The man finally gave in and apologized. Ethan threw him to the ground. He pulled Leo towards the exit. Leo looked back, worried. Ethan assured him he did not use much force. They waited outside for a cab. But the man returned with a group of friends. Ethan told Leo to run and call the police. Leo quickly dialed for help. But a man with a wooden stick was already there. He swung at Ethan. Another group came towards Leo. He had never been in a real fight. He saw a loose brick on the ground. He picked it up for defense. A stick hit his arm, numbing it. He swung the brick at his attacker's head. But there were too many of them. Soon Leo was kicked to the ground. Ethan shielded him with his own body. He took most of the blows. The sound of sirens finally scared them away. The angry man kicked Ethan a few more times. Then they all ran. At the hospital, Leo had minor injuries. His ankle was sprained badly. Ethan was worse off. He had cuts and bruises everywhere. A deep gash on his head required stitches. They had to shave some of his hair. He lamented his ruined appearance. Leo told him his hair would grow back. He said he should focus on his broken arm. Ethan felt guilty for getting Leo hurt. Leo told him it was not his fault. Ethan insisted on taking care of him. Leo pointed out his own injuries. He joked about who would care for whom. The police arrived to take their statements. They drove them back to the hotel. Their manager gave them a week off to recover. Julian was having a terrible week. He was busy with work and endless blind dates. He was in a foul mood constantly. One day, he visited a relative at the hospital. He saw Leo waiting to get his dressing changed. Leo's face still had faint bruises. He looked thin and pale. Julian rushed over to him. His voice was filled with anger. He demanded to know what happened. Leo was startled by his sudden appearance. He lied about being mugged. Julian's questions came in a rapid fire. When did it happen? Why didn't he call? Leo said it was a minor injury. He could handle it himself. Julian scoffed at his words. He pointed out Leo's current state. He told him he should have just given the money. Life was more valuable than cash. Leo's patience were thin. He asked what it had to do with Julian. Julian's face went cold. Leo backed down slightly. He said it was just a sprained ankle. Julian turned and walked away without a word. Leo watched him go, staying silent. Ethan arrived from his own checkup. He saw Leo's troubled expression. He asked what was wrong. Leo said it was nothing. He suggested they go home. Ethan wanted to treat him to hot pot. Leo said he was tired and wanted to rest. Ethan offered to walk him home. At Leo's building, Ethan lingered. He hoped for an invitation upstairs. Leo just told him to go home. He pretended not to see Ethan's disappointment. The next day, Julian met Marcus for dinner. Marcus asked about the blind dates. Julian said they were not going well. He complained that none of the women were suitable. Some wanted an open marriage. Some were only interested in a one-night stand. Some were forced by their parents. His father was furious about the lack of progress. Marcus mentioned another potential match. But Julian dismissed the idea. He said they were not compatible. Marcus sighed at his friend's pickiness. A call interrupted their meal. It was Ryan, Marcus's partner. Marcus's entire demeanor softened. After the call, Julian asked about his family. Marcus said they still disapproved. Ryan's family was starting to soften, but his own parents were stubborn. He said he could only wait them out. Ryan arrived to pick up Marcus. He asked Julian where Leo was. Julian told him they had broken up. Ryan was surprised by the news. He said Leo had been declining his invitations. Julian remembered Leo's bruised face. He said Leo had other reasons for staying home. Ryan asked what they were. Julian did not elaborate. Ryan said he thought Julian really liked Leo. Julian did like him. He would not have kept him around for 6 years. But it was only like not love. Long ago, Leo had asked if he loved him. He could not remember his answer. He only remembered Leo's heartbroken tears. He hated love. It made people lose themselves. It reminded him of his mother. He would never let himself fall in love. And he would never let anyone love him. He watched Marcus and Ryan together. He told them to go home. His secretary called with a full report. It detailed Leo's fight at the bar. Julian asked about the man with him. The secretary identified him as Ethan, the new intern from Leo's company. Julian remembered seeing them on the street. He hung up the phone. He smashed his phone against the wall. A week later, Leo's injuries had healed. He found Ethan waiting for him downstairs. Ethan said he came to go to work together. Leo asked why he did not call first. Ethan just smiled and held up breakfast. He said he got up early anyway. Leo accepted the food with a sigh. He suggested they take a taxi. He worried about Ethan's arm in the crowded subway. At work, Chloe watched them. She pulled Leo aside during a break. She asked if his intern had a crush on him. Leo told her she was overthinking it. Chloe was not convinced. She pointed out how Ethan stuck to him. Leo knew she might be right. He could sense Ethan's feelings. But he pretended not to notice. He was not ready for another relationship. He did not want to hurt Ethan, so he feigned ignorance. Ethan was like a naive, energetic puppy. He reminded Leo of his younger self. Julian was waiting in a cafe. His meeting was almost an hour late. Celine finally arrived, offering a brief apology. Julian asked if she had made a decision. She said she still needed more time. Julian's patience was wearing thin. He thought she had agreed to the terms. Celine admitted her father was pressuring her. She had to meet with him. Julian stated he did not want to waste time. Celine suggested they talk about other things. Julian said there was no point if they disagreed. She told him she was just fulfilling a duty. He was free to leave. Julian stood up. He hoped she would have a decision next time. He paid the bill and left the cafe. Life was peaceful for Leo after that. His injuries healed completely. Ethan seemed to understand his subtle rejection. He stopped inviting him out after work. Leo spent his weekends at home. He avoided group gatherings. He was afraid of running into Julian. He only met up with Ryan for meals. Ryan always shared gossip about Julian. He told Leo that Julian's engagement was set. The fiancée was the daughter of the Tsin family. The engagement party would be soon. Leo felt nothing at the news. He did not attend the party, but his social media was flooded with photos. The couple looked perfect together. Julian brought Celine home for dinner. His parents were very pleased with her. His mother started planning the wedding. Celine suggested a simple ceremony. Julian's mother insisted on a grand affair. Julian did not care about the details. He just wanted his mother to rest. His father gave them a newly renovated house. He asked when they would move in. Celine said they would wait until after the wedding. After dinner, Julian drove Celine home. She looked tired and dropped her polite facade. Julian worked on his tablet in the car. They looked nothing like a newly engaged couple. Celine reminded him of a dinner with her father. Julian agreed to send a driver for her. She got out of the car without another word. Leo was on the phone with Ryan. Ryan was inviting him on a fishing trip. Leo asked why they would go fishing in the cold. Ryan said it was a middle-aged pastime. He told him the location was far away. They would be camping overnight. Leo wanted to decline. He was still trying to avoid Julian. Ryan seemed to read his mind. He swore Julian was not coming. He said Julian was busy with wedding plans. Leo finally agreed to go, but Julian's familiar car was parked at the meeting spot. Ryan insisted Julian had said he was not coming. Marcus came over. He also had no idea why Julian had changed his mind. Leo held a thermos, staring into space. Marcus told him to just ignore Julian. He noticed Leo was dressed very warmly. Leo explained that he got cold easily. Soon everyone arrived. Julian got out of his car. He wore a black coat that made him look young. They all boarded a bus to go up the mountain. The road was steep and winding. The scenery was beautiful. After an hour, they reached the campsite. The guide distributed the tents. Leo struggled to set up his single-person tent. Most of the others were also having trouble. Julian did not even try. He sat aside and let the guide help him. The guide patiently set up everyone's tents. After settling in, they went to the lake. Leo did not like fishing. He found a lounge chair to relax in. The midday sun was warm and comfortable. He soon drifted off to sleep. The sound of a phone call woke him. Julian was sitting in the chair next to him. He ended his call and turned to Leo. He asked if he had woken him. Leo shook his head. The silence between them was awkward. Leo broke it by congratulating him. He mentioned the engagement photos. He said Celine was beautiful and suited him. Julian ignored the comment. He asked Leo how he had been. Leo gave a polite, meaningless answer. He said he was doing well. Julian's phone rang again, interrupting them. He frowned at the caller ID. Leo took the opportunity to escape. He got up and walked away. Julian watched him go with a sigh. He answered the call. It was Celine. She wanted to talk. Julian told her there was nothing left to discuss. She pleaded with him not to break the engagement. She said it would be bad for both families. Julian reminded her that she broke their agreement. The engagement was therefore void. She promised to break up with her other boyfriend. Julian said it was too late. He would inform their parents the next day. Celine became hysterical. She accused him of being unreasonable. She said it was just an arranged marriage. He did not love her anyway. She reminded him of his own past lovers. Julian stated the terms were clear from the start. Their agreement was based on fidelity. Celine scoffed at the idea. She said no one in their circle was faithful. Julian said they clearly could not agree. The broken engagement was final. He had discovered Celine's secret boyfriend yesterday. His secretary had provided a full dossier. He had been with her for 3 years. Celine's father had forced them apart. He threatened her into the engagement with Julian. Julian was calm when he saw the photos. He simply informed Celine the deal was off. He had invested time and energy into this. Now he had to start all over again. But as he ended the call, he felt a strange relief. As evening approached, the temperature dropped. The guide called everyone to gather. Marcus looked around and asked where Leo was. A sliver of anxiety hit Julian. He asked if Leo had been with them. They said he was last seen by the lounge chairs. Julian said he had walked away. Ryan suggested he might be at the vendor stalls. Julian went to check. Leo was not at the stalls. He had to use the bathroom. Unable to find one, he went into the woods. He walked deep inside for privacy. When he turned to go back, he was lost. He could not tell which direction he came from. He walked blindly for a few minutes. His foot caught on a root. He tumbled down a small, steep slope. Julian could not find Leo at the stalls. Marcus thought he might have gone into the woods. Julian went to the edge of the forest. He told the guide what happened. The guide advised against going in alone. Leo felt incredibly unlucky. He was stuck at the bottom of a small ravine. His phone had no signal. The fall had re-injured his sprained ankle. The pain was sharp and immobilizing. He could not even stand, let alone climb out. He could only hope someone would find him. Julian followed the guide into the dark woods. The guide pointed out trampled leaves. It was a sign someone had passed through. Julian called out Leo's name. The forest was getting darker by the minute. He heard a faint sound. He called out Leo's name again, louder this time. The guide identified the direction. They rushed towards the sound. They found a disturbed patch of leaves. At the bottom of a slope, a figure was curled up. It was Leo. Julian quickly assessed the situation. He asked if Leo was hurt. Leo weakly pointed to his foot. The guide confirmed his ankle was sprained. He tied a rope around Julian's waist. He told him to climb down and carry Leo up. Julian jumped down the slope. Leo tried to stand but collapsed in pain. Julian knelt beside him. He carefully checked his ankle. It was already swollen and purple. Leo was shivering from the cold. His face was pale. Julian took off his own coat. He wrapped it around Leo. He rubbed his cold face and hands. Leo's voice was a hoarse whisper. Julian's face was grim. He checked his forehead for a fever. Then he carefully lifted Leo onto his back. The guide pulled them up with the rope. He sprayed a pain reliever on Leo's ankle. He gave him another jacket for warmth. Leo was too weak to speak. They walked out of the forest in darkness. The others were waiting anxiously. Marcus asked if the injury was serious. Leo managed a weak smile from Julian's back. He said it was just a sprained ankle. Ryan scolded him for being reckless. Leo apologized for causing trouble. Julian told everyone to save the questions. He asked if an ambulance had been called. Marcus confirmed it was on its way. They started walking back to the campsite. Marcus offered to carry Leo for a while. Julian refused. Leo whispered a thank you into Julian's ear. Julian snorted. He said at least he had not lost his manners. His suppressed anger finally erupted. He asked what Leo was thinking. He demanded to know why he went into the woods. Leo mumbled about needing a bathroom. Julian berated him for not asking for help. Leo apologized softly. He whined that his foot really hurt. He knew Julian had a soft spot for him. Julian's anger faltered. He wanted to scold him more but could not. Leo sensed the shift in his mood. He offered to let someone else carry him. Julian snapped at him to be quiet. Leo immediately shut his mouth. At the campsite, the ambulance was waiting. Julian got in with Leo. They drove down the mountain to the hospital. At the emergency room, Leo was put on an 4. He lay on the bed, his stomach growling. Julian sat beside him. He asked if he was hungry. Leo was unsure if he was still angry. He shook his head no. Julian laughed without humor. He said he would order food only for himself then. Leo's eyes widened. He quickly admitted he was hungry. Julian poked his forehead gently. He called him a fool. His secretary arrived with 2 large food containers. Leo's eyes lit up at the sight of food. He looked like a new person. The secretary set out the meal. She told Julian the wheelchair was ready. The driver was waiting outside. Julian waved her away. Leo waited for Julian's permission to eat. Julian nodded, and Leo dug in happily. Julian reminded him to drink soup first. He warned him not to eat too fast. Leo obeyed like a happy kitten. After the meal, Julian helped him into the wheelchair. They left the hospital. In the car, Leo noticed they were not going home. He asked where they were going. Julian said they were going to his place. Leo protested. He said Julian could not take care of himself. Julian pointed to Leo's swollen foot. He asked how Leo planned to manage alone. Leo told the driver to take him to his own home. Julian told the driver to ignore him. He said Leo was not crippled, just sprained. He insisted he could manage on his own. Julian ignored him and closed his eyes. Leo became agitated. He asked what their relationship was. Why should he stay at Julian's house? Julian opened his eyes, his voice cold. He asked Leo to define their relationship. Leo's own anger flared. He retorted they were just former bedfellows. He reminded Julian of his fiancée. He asked if she knew about this. Julian's expression darkened completely. He repeated the word bedfellows. Leo stared back defiantly. He asked if Julian thought they were boyfriends. Julian yelled at the driver to stop the car. The driver pulled over immediately. Leo got out of the car, slamming the door. The driver asked if he should go after him. Julian barked at him to just drive. A few minutes later, Julian cursed under his breath. He told the driver to turn back. They found Leo leaning against a lamppost. He was trying to get a ride on his phone. The car pulled up beside him. He ignored it, his eyes fixed on his screen.